we've heard the Wonder Woman movie today called, epic blockbuster, romantic comedy, Greek tragedy, just a number of things. So
something for everybody.
Yeah. And is epic blockbuster the foremost of those?
Yes and no. It's tricky. That has come up several times when we've been working on a story for a movie. Just doing the outline. There have been several movies that we've written or developed where we get to a certain point. We go, well, yeah, this is a good story and it's a good movie, but it doesn't feel big enough. It doesn't feel like the stakes are high enough, or it doesn't feel spectacular enough. So we do kind of, I guess, in the back of all of our minds, we do kind of have that summer tentpole movie, mentality. So there is definitely a desire to kind of, make these things big and have the finales, pay off, and so it's good, but at the same time it's tough. It's like there was a certain point where we started to feel that maybe the movies were all kind of following that formula a little bit too closely, and we decided that hey, maybe not every villain wants to rule the world or destroy the world or something. So maybe it's okay sometimes if they have a little bit smaller agenda. But at the same time, if you do that, you still want to have a satisfactory. I mean, things have to build to a certain point. It's like you can't go out with a whisper. It has to go out with a bang. So,
are there any secondary or tertiary DC characters that maybe wouldn't usually get their own movie, but that you'd love the chance to do them, to do a film based around them?
Yes, there are, and I'm hoping that this whole line of movies gets so successful that they continue to sell so well that eventually the home video people will just say, you know what, we're tired of Batman, let's do something else. And then we can start going deeper into the back catalog. Because I love Batman, I love Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, I love all the big guns, but at the same time, I would love to go do something really, really weird, something really more offbeat. Like you meant, or you didn't mention it. Somebody else mentioned it earlier. I'm sorry. I'm getting confused. My sister, my mother. But yeah, like Jonah Hex is a great character. I'd love to do that. I mean, I think the odds of us actually doing an animated Western kind of small right now. But hey, if the movie gets made, the live action movie gets made, maybe it could happen. But yeah, characters like the Question, I think they're really interesting and unusual. But again, it's like, does Middle America know who the Question is? Are they going to, pay $15 to watch a Question animated movie? I don't know, So we'll see.
What about? Could you talk about your involvement with Ralph Bakshi's Mighty Mouse?
Okay. I'm shifting gears now. That was a long time ago. I knew John Kricfalusi peripherally through a friend of mine named Jim Gomez, who I worked with at Filmation. I was really good friends with Jim, and he was good friends with John, so I knew John a little bit through Jim. And Ralph was starting the Mighty Mouse show, put John Kay in charge of it. They were looking for artists. I was working on a show that I hated at the time. And my buddy Jim said, hey, John sold the show, or he's working on the show with Ralph. You should come over and show your stuff to John, and we need artists, and one thing led to another. And I was always a fan of John's stuff, even before Mighty Mouse. I just thought he was a brilliant artist, and I wanted to work with him, and so that's how I ended up over there.
Wow. And they were mentioning, you did those Marvel covers for Spider-Man, and you and Paul did some amazing Spider-Man books. Would you want to play with their toys if you ever get a chance? You know what I mean? Would you ever want to do those characters?
Sure.
Because, when you look at your covers of the black and whites, they're just astounding.
Well, thank you. I like the Marvel characters. Sure, it'd be fun, but like I was saying before, A, they'd have to call me first. They've never once called me and said, hey, come over and work on one of these things. And B, they would have to give me a really, really good inducement to leave Warner Brothers. So it's just don't think it's going to happen.
What about the rumor we keep hearing about you and the Harley and Ivy miniseries movie? Is there any truth to that?
This is the first I've heard of it. What rumor are you talking about?
We heard that the book you and Paul did is being looked at as a possible feature for the direct-to-video.
Oh, for ours? For our line?
Yeah.
Anything's possible, but nobody has mentioned it to me, so I don't think so.
You've worked with superheroes for so long now, ever since Batman. Have you ever, between all these years, have you ever looked at other projects that you consider maybe I should take a break from DC heroes and do something else?
Yeah, I have some original ideas of my own for animated properties, either both series or feature films that I would love to do someday. I mean, I love the superhero characters. I'm perfectly happy to continue working on them. But at the same time, there are other genres that I would like to take a stab at, and I hope I'll get the chance to do that someday.
And if you could do anything you wanted to do, would you do like film noir? You played with that a little bit in the past.
Animated film noir?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't want to. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing something that was film noir flavored, but my instincts are to stay in the action adventure genre, but that's big. I mean, action adventure could mean anything. It could be in westerns, it could be sci-fi, it could be, barbarians and sword and sorcery. It could be lots of different stuff. So, but film noir, probably not.
And of all your animated characters that you've created, which one do you think has had the biggest impact and why?
I don't have a good answer for you. Sorry, I don't.
Well, you're thinking about it. That's
I
important.
am, but I well, most of these characters I didn't create. I mean, like Batman and Superman, Bob Kane, Jerry Siegel, and Joe Shuster created those guys. Very few characters that I actually create, either with Paul Dini or anybody else. So, I mean, Harley probably is the only one who's had any kind of big impact. But even that's,
Were you happy she never made it into the movies? They were trying to get her into the last Batman and Robin type movie.
I don't care. I mean, people ask me that about Batman and Robin. They said, "Oh, they took your Mr. Freeze and turned him into a parody and ruined your story and everything." It's like, my story's still there. It's like Stephen King's answer. It's like, they didn't ruin my books. The books are still on the shelf. So it's like, I mean, I didn't like Batman and Robin, but at the same time, it's like, I couldn't even understand why they would even bother using our Mr. Freeze origin story if they had such a completely different idea. It's like,
Because it was a good origin story.
yeah, and it's like the only thing it was missing was, ice puns. Yeah. Nice to see you. It's the only thing that would have made Heart of Ice even better. So, I don't know.
Yeah, you mentioned before that there's stuff that you got excited about, like at the beginning, like action figures and stuff. What do you get excited about now?
Nothing. I'm old and jaded.
Oh, come on. There's got to be something that it's.
There's nothing right now at this moment, but there have been occasionally, every couple of years, I'll go through a phase where I'll discover something that I hadn't noticed before, and like it was about 5 years ago, I guess, when I discovered the Buffy series, because I didn't even see it when it was first on the air. I actually discovered it on DVD, and I became like a huge Buffy fan and a huge Joss Whedon fan, and watched all of it, got all the DVDs, everything from Buffy through Firefly. And that was exciting because I was like, oh wow, whole new universe to collect and get excited about. But there hasn't been anything in a while that I've, that's really gotten me fired up.
Have you seen Dollhouse?
Yeah, I like it.
Dr. Horrible?
Oh, Dr. Horrible's great. I wish there was more of that. And Dollhouse I like too. I mean, it's early. I mean, I have to admit, none of Joss's shows grabbed me instantly. Even Buffy took me like the whole first season before I got into it. Firefly, took me a couple episodes to get into it. Angel. So, but I'm liking Dollhouse so far. I'll be curious to see where it goes.
And the last question. A while back, you had kind of an existentialist answer. Years ago, you said you couldn't watch the first season of Batman because all you saw were the flaws.
Right.
Can you look at it now?
Yes and no. I still see all the flaws. I still see things that I wish we had done differently, and I want to take a razor to them. I want to tighten them up because they're so slow. But I don't spend a lot of time going back and watching that stuff.
You're always one of the best interviews, Bruce. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
And can I get a couple of shots for your friends at the magazine?
I suppose.
Thank you, sir.
I say one of my buddies said to send along the message that yours are the only DVDs he will buy sight unseen
Awesome.
because he has that much faith in